Our initial response to the brief was, how are we going to tackle a project like this? The clients had a pretty clear idea of what they wanted. They had reference images of houses overseas that they really liked, so the brief was pretty defined from the start. It was just up to us to incorporate it into the golf course and to put our spin on it locally. I'm Gareth Ritchie, one of the directors of Archco Architecture in Rangiora and the designer of the Burntwood project in Pegasus. The Burntwood site is located in the township of Pegasus in North Canterbury and is buried into the heart of the golf course, overlooking the greens and the waterways. The brief for the project was to create a house that blended into the golf course rather than being intrusive. It offered a privacy from the road frontage while opening it up with open glazing back towards the waterways on the golf course. The design evolved over time incrementally. The original concept came on pretty quickly and we largely stuck through that throughout the process. A few construction changes and material changes through pricing drove us from a concrete roof to a Corten roof, which I'm glad went that direction in the grand scheme of the project. Other than that, the clients were pretty set on what we pitched from the start, and it carried on throughout the project. When you arrive at Burntwood, you're greeted with an industrial facade, which is really harsh in contrast to the warmth you experience upon entering the front door. Walking inside, you're greeted with a lot of warm timber tones, moody internal gardens and courtyards, and glass opening up onto the waterways and golf course. The layout for the house was really important to the owners. They needed to separate the house into two wings with their own private space, as well as a guest wing, which included a complete break for the guests. It was really important to create private spaces and courtyards inside the house, which created focal points, but also brought natural light in.
My name's Tony de Geest. I'm the Managing Director of Tony de Geest Building and Developing Limited. When you walk into this house or from the street, it's a very private house, the way it's been designed. The owners wanted all clean lines, which you can see from the property, and one thing that was discussed but wasn't actually on the plan when we started the job was the recessed blinds, which are all hidden. But on a flat roof, very difficult. Okay, when you're running with the laminated timbers, but when you're going against them, very difficult. And so there was a lot of thought and process went in that with the engineer and making it work, because when you've got a flat roof, you've got a heavy snow loading, which we had not so long ago. So that was a big factor to get right for the weight.
The external landscaping is designed to match the contours of the golf course. It's got its own putting green, planting matches the theme of the golf course, and it's got its own bunker fire pit. Finishing off the external landscaping of the house is the outdoor fireplace, which has been designed into the concept of the home. It creates an anchor point that marks the transitional space between the indoor and outdoor flow. The material choices throughout were largely driven from the original brief. A lot of Corten, a lot of concrete and steel were used externally, and internally we changed that up for warmth using natural timbers. Forte flooring and wall panelling were both used in the project. We went with a walnut aesthetic on the floors and two different tones of oak on the walls, both a light oak and a dark oak to contrast. What sets Forte Flooring's products apart from others is not necessarily their huge range of products, but their technical expertise and their ability to collaborate with us on every project.
One thing I did note with Forte Flooring, which I really thought was a great wee finishing touch, is the team came out and looked over the whole project and did a Q&A and reported back to me.
There wasn't a particular proudest moment in this project. The project in its entirety was almost artwork for us. It was a process that we were involved from concept through development, through interiors, through exterior, and it was fantastic to be asked to do a project like this locally. It was a bit different, it turned a lot of heads, and it created a lot of positive feedback for us locally, which professionally is extremely fulfilling. To see the end result that it is fantastic for us and something we're proud of in its entirety.